Alright, today guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I like to glue up my rings now. I've tried all different ways. I started out with the band clamps. You can see they're pretty well used. And I didn't particularly like these. I got a bunch of different sizes. I went on Amazon and bought different sizes and worked on those. And they work okay, but I don't feel that they give even pressure around the segmented pieces. And I always had segmented pieces that would jut out and, you know, just not be lined up right. So I didn't like those too much. Then I got into rubber bands, started using rubber bands, and even made a little jig there to put pins in so that they're, you know, I put down wax paper, put pins in, put the rubber band around that, build the segment there, and then pop the rubber bands in. And that works pretty good. I mean, that gets the rubber bands onto the segments without them flying everywhere. But, you know, the rubber bands I like because they put a constant pressure on everything. And there's some guys that have presses, or they put weight on top of stuff where they put the rubber bands around so they don't shoot all over the place. And I understand that feeling. But I'll tell you, I've been watching Earl's Small Segments. And he makes a thing out of wood that's just a piece of wood with a hole drilled in it. He runs a string through it. And he used to tie it off, and then he started making these things out of wood where he drilled 5 holes and weaved this in, the rope in, so that you could make it different lengths. You could adjust it. And that, you know, I like that. You buy the rope at a hardware store. I mean, the rope was cheap. I ended up buying Amazon, a big old bunch of it here. And I ended up designing these for my 3D printer and made them out of plastic with no infill. It's 100% infill. So they're rock solid. And these really work well. So I'm going to show you how I use these and why I think this is one of the best ways to build your segments. Or to glue your segments together into rings. So I started, I have ring number 3 is what this is. And on my wedgie sled, I have some that are marked one way and another way. So some have marks on the outside, some don't. So I got to alternate them. So I just lay them out so they're all set to go. Alternate them back and forth here. And just build my ring. As you can see, just build it up until you get your ring pretty close. Now, what I like about this is so adjustable because you can put it around your ring, and all I'm doing is just pulling it on it right here, and that's going to get everything pretty close to where I want it. And I'll just adjust these out, and I'm going to pull this in some. So this is a little closer. I make my adjustments here. And that's set, and that's ready to go. So now all I gotta do is just start putting glue on. Now, the nice thing about this, I got them laid out the order that I want, and I used to flip them up on a stick and then bring them back, and I'd mess it up. So now I just keep it in the order that it is and glue it just right here. Now for this glue up, I'm using, for most of my glue ups, I use Titebond 2, and this is Titebond 2 Dark. Now, the reason I'm using dark is that, well, dark was really, really cheap. A 2-gallon kit of it was quite inexpensive. And it was the cost of 1 gallon of Titebond 2. So I thought, I'm going to try this. And it works exactly the same. It's just a darker color. That's all. And it doesn't hurt anything. I mean, you know, I guess you could see little tiny darker lines on the maple. On the other stuff, you don't notice it at all. You know, Wingate and the darker woods, any redwoods or walnuts, purple heart, bloodwood, Paduke, all that blends in pretty good. And it's the exact same glue. It's the Titebond 2. I like the Titebond 2. You know, I don't have the original. I actually have Titebond 2 here, the regular, and I have Titebond 2 extended when I have a lot of pieces, like when I do a 48 segment glue up, I might use that. But I do like the thickness of the Titebond 2 because it stays in one place, and it doesn't, I can put a nice thick coat on here, because you see I'm only putting a coat on one side, but it is a thick coat so that it's got more than enough to cover both pieces. And I just barely touch the pieces together, that way I don't press them together so they don't lock in together, so when I put the rope around it, it will pull them in tight. They're not stuck together. Like if you push these two together at the beginning, and I'll show you here in a second, they'll start to adhere to each other, and it makes it a little more difficult to straighten them out after the fact. Whereas if they're just right next to each other, not so bad. Now Type 1 Extended, you know, gives you more open time, but it is a not as thick of a glue, and I think that's why it's extended. And so it see how these are already stuck together. So I'll just put a little bit more on this one here. All right. So anyway, the extended, you know, it sort of runs down, so it's not quite so thick. So I'm gonna put my rope around here now, and I like to line this up with one of these segments here, and I'm gonna start pulling on it. Oops, and one got away before I pulled here, so let me put these back. First time I've actually had that big of an escape. So you know, I'm gonna pull it, I'm pulling tight here, and I'm going around and fixing that a little bit, adjusting my segments, and I'm gonna put my screwdriver in here, and that's all it is a screwdriver in here, and hopefully you can see that, and I'll turn this around in a little bit, but I'll start spinning this around, and generally I'll put it off the edge here to do that. And let me do that as a matter of fact. There we go. And so now any parts that are stuck together where I need to move, I can just twist this way. Don't try to do it this way, because if you try to push back and forth, once they stick, it's kind of impossible. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean off that on the top, and then I'm gonna rotate it around a couple more times, get out the hammer. Now before I hit it too much, I want to adjust my rope up a little bit, so that, make sure that it goes right across the middle. See here, it's pretty low on this side, so I want to get it right across the middle there. And I'm using a quartz top here. We had quartz put on our sink cabinets when I put them in, and so they had the cut out piece, and I used that for gluing up, and it works perfect. It's easy to clean, nice and flat, nice and solid. I'm gonna tighten up a little bit more, a couple more twists. You don't have to go super tight, but now I'm gonna clean this part off. Clean it up, and then go ahead and clean this part here also. So as you see, when you're done, you get a really clean ring. The ring is super flat. I mean, you know, it's flat as can be. You just tighten up on this end, pulls this all together, gives even pressure all the way around, no gaps, nothing. It's just the best way. And again, this is not my idea. This is Earl's, from Earl's Small Segment Shop, and just a fantastic idea. When I made one, I watched them, and I decided to make one on the printer, because I was sitting there in front of my computer, and I just designed it and put it together, made it. I didn't think it'd work this good, and now this is the only way that I'm putting these together. So if you like the video, do like and subscribe. Having more, you'll be able to see the bowl that I'm actually putting all these rings together for. And I appreciate you watching now, and have a great day.